Good people, what is going on? Another episode of the Uncle Podcast. I'm your host, Desmond. Thank you for tuning in. Greatly appreciate it. Boy, oh boy, Alabama loses 23-21 at home to Oklahoma. And it was, so first off, want to give kudos to Oklahoma. I thought defensively they played really physical. They flew around. They made things pretty difficult for Alabama's offense. It was, they took care of business. They were opportunistic. They forced the fumble on Ty Simpson, strip sack. Obviously, they had the pick six. Anytime you score a touchdown on defense is a win. And the quarterback Mateer, I thought he made just enough plays for Oklahoma to win. So they deserve all the credit in the world. I think in most places, especially the really good teams, playing playing on the road in their facility is really difficult. It's hard to win on the road. That was a 3:30 game for me in Eastern time, but I think it was 2:30 for local. But no, kudos to Oklahoma, and I want to make sure I give them all the credit in the world because that's a huge win for them. And I believe they have 2 losses right now. And I took a look at their schedule, and the last 2 games they play, I believe LSU is there and one other team I can't recall off the top of my head. But number one, you've got that huge win against Alabama, and you're talking about a 2-loss team. Who's to say that? The way that I see it, they were already ranked number 11. You beat the number 4 or 5 team in the country on the road. They're probably going to the playoff. I think they're going. Obviously, assuming they win out, you can't lose to LSU and then think you're going to get in. But I think if Oklahoma wins out, I think they're in the playoffs. So kudos to them. Switching things to Alabama. Goodness gracious, the amount of blame for the loss spans wide and far. I think the first person who would be on my list, and mind you, there's multiple people, but the first person would be on my list is the head coach. If you've listened to this channel, I am a big it starts at the top person, and that is the case with Kalen DeBoer. I don't feel like Alabama came out with the intensity needed for a huge game, a team that has beat you last year, and I guess I wouldn't say ruined your season, but the part of the reason you didn't make the playoff is because the Oklahoma loss was part of it. You had 2 other losses, but that was a big part of it. You needed this. You should have been getting ready for a deep college football playoff run. All of the goals and things that you want in your season, those goals are still in front of you, and you come out and I'm hesitant to say lay an egg, but you kind of laid an egg. It just was not a team with the intensity needed for a mid-November game in the SEC. It just wasn't good enough. Moving on down the line, Ryan Grubb. I thought with if you know Brent Venables, you know he's coming to heat you up. He's going to bring pressure. He's going to do it pretty consistently. All different types of ways. He brought corners, linebackers, everything. And the amount of plays and protections that we had that were not prepared for the pressure that you knew was coming was unacceptable. It was unacceptable. He just, I made a video last week on the run game of Alabama's offense being one-dimensional. We couldn't run the ball in the past, pretty much at all this season. I thought Saturday we actually had some pretty good runs. Daniel Hill was before kind of the end of the game. I think he had like 12 carries for 70 something yards. He was having a pretty good day, but nonetheless, so you had a pretty darn good job of run game support, but just when it came down to throwing the ball, we can't have scat protection, which is just 5 O linemen, and we just didn't have enough answers, and it was just not great. Not great at all. And this is in no order outside of Kalen, because you're the head coach. It's number one for you. Ty Simpson. Now, part of his issue, I think, came from Ryan Grubb. But at the end of the day, man, you cannot turn the ball over. You cannot do it. Somehow it's so odd because early in the game, you throw the pick six, and in that moment, you just were trying to get the ball out quick because we had pressure. But then later in the game, when we need you to get rid of the ball when there's pressure, then you eat it and take a sack, which really we needed you to flip that. Sometimes you just got to take the sack. And it was maddening just watching him because he had a lot of good throws in the game. But at the end of the day, if you put the ball in harm's way, which you did twice, not only twice, because he threw it a pick, third turnover, and I think that was that the second quarter? So he threw another interception, but it got called back because of pass interference. So it's just consistently like putting the ball in harm's way. He was off most of the day because there were stretches where it was either too much heat, you were, as far as his throws, throwing the ball too dang hard, or you're missing your mark where it's too difficult of a catch, that, guys can't help you out. And it just was awful. And going back to Grubb too, on the 4th and 6, in a gotta have it moment, we're throwing an out route to the field to Ryan Williams. Now, Ryan Williams, young player. Love Ryan Williams. But in that moment, that's not a Ryan Williams time. It's not. He had made a catch or two, fumbled the punt return, gave away points then, dropped the ball, had to drop earlier. Like that's Jeremy Bernard time, or our tight end who had some really big catches. Like I just don't think that's time for Ryan Williams. But nonetheless, back to Ty. The internal clock was just not. It wasn't set. It wasn't balanced because there was so many times where Ty, he drops back, right? And as a quarterback, once you get, like, for example, like a 3-step or a 5-step drop, right? Once that back foot hits, you need to start climbing, which means take a step forward into the pocket because those defensive ends are starting to get around your offensive tackles. It's pretty normal. I mean, you see guys in the NFL do it all the time, and a lot of college guys do it. And Ty does it when he's on his game, but not climbing in the pocket, and that's how you get strip sacked. That's the same thing that happened to him against LSU. It's like, dude, step up in the pocket. Give yourself more time. That gives you at least another second where now the guys that you're waiting on to get open or the coverage that you're trying to read, we're in good shape now. But when you just sit back there and you don't have any type of internal clock going on, he's a pretty athletic kid. Some of that stuff, once you hit that back foot, you're climbing. If nothing's there, just run. 3 to 4 yards on a 2nd and 10 is great. We can deal with a 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7. But when you get sacked, fumble the ball, lose the ball, not much we can do with that, man. Not much. I mentioned Ryan Williams, the fumble. He's on the list as well. It's like, dude, what is going on, man? Like, you're in traffic, so you go from covering the ball with both hands to then not covering the ball with both hands, and it gets punched out as you're going down. It was a mess. It was a freaking mess. And when Alabama, we went down 10-0, once we got to about 17-14, I was like, you know what? If we can just keep these, I thought the turnovers were done in the first half. So I'm like, if we're done with the turnovers, I just think we can be solid and end up winning the game. And lo and behold, we scored one more touchdown, and that was it. I mean, it was just, God, it was brutal. It was brutal. Oklahoma's not a bad team by any stretch. Like I said, defensively they're pretty physical, and Mateer seems to be getting healthier and healthier with the thumb surgery he had earlier in the season. So they're not a bad team, but to me, and this is just my personal opinion, it's really difficult for me to envision that Alabama team winning a national championship when you can't beat Oklahoma at home. And I know some things didn't go your way, but and Oklahoma was opportunistic in taking advantage of that. So I want to make sure I give credit to Oklahoma, but I don't. It's hard to envision that. I mean, you see what Georgia did to Texas, and I actually don't think Texas is a good team. I know they're loaded with talent and all that, but when your quarterback is Arch Manning, I just think you have, as it stands today, a very low ceiling. But Georgia's throttling SEC teams. We're struggling and losing to ours, at home. And I know Alabama had the stretch of the 4, ranked teams we played: Georgia, Missouri. I can't even remember all the teams. Tennessee, I think, was in there. But it just, I don't know. They definitely can't seem to find a stride offensively. It just wasn't great. Daniel Hill, also too, on that play. I've seen this clip go viral. Well, maybe not viral, but I've seen this clip a lot where Oklahoma blitzes a corner, and it's like kind of an exotic blitz. All 5 O-linemen are blocking it up perfectly. It's literally Daniel Hill, who is probably 220, 230 pounds, against a 180-pound corner, and he gets his lunch. 180-pound corner eats your lunch and sacks a quarterback. It's unacceptable. It is unacceptable. That effort is crap. Your technique was crap. You're sitting back there catching a 180-pound corner. You should have destroyed that kid. A running back that has just that the killer instinct, the dog in him. That corner should have been in freaking concussion protocol after he did that to you. If you really had it in you. And I've seen things about, Daniel Hill's been out of shape, or maybe he was out of shape, whatever it was. But that should have been a Mack truck just running over. I don't even know. It should have been bad. But instead, Daniel catches him. He runs right through him and sacks our quarterback. And that one, and it's going to look like, oh my God, Oklahoma did a great job. And that corner did with his effort. He kept it going, all that good stuff. He gets credit for that. But that's a play that Ty shouldn't have been sacked. He got sacked because you didn't do your job. And that's, when it comes to just running backs in general, just taking it off of Daniel Hill for a minute, that's the number one reason most talented young running backs don't play. Not just talking about Alabama. I'm talking about in college football. It's because the pass pro aspect of it, you give half effort. But you want everybody else to give 100% effort when it's a run play and you're getting the ball. And that just is what it is. But yeah, watching that was, goodness gracious. Yeah, that was pretty bad. So we'll see. Alabama plays, I think, East Illinois, something like that next week, or this week. And then all the chips on the table to go to Auburn. And who knows what happens there. So definitely not feeling confident after that game, in which it's odd because one of my biggest complaints was our offense was so one-dimensional, and it actually wasn't on Saturday, but we still lost because we turned the ball over so many times. So pretty brutal, and at the end of the day, all the goals that you want are still in front of you. You're probably not going to win the SEC, but playoffs is still on the table, but got to win out, got to take care of business and go from there. So we'll see what happens. Not quite sure. Super disappointed, but hey, roll Tide all day. But that is it for me. If you're here, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe. Greatly appreciate it. Also follow me on TikTok as well. That's it for me. Peace.